This is not a commercial for The Way I Heard It with Mike Rowe, the award-winning podcast now entering its 10th year and available wherever podcasts are listened to. No, this is a commercial for Mike Rowe's foundation, which has just set aside $10 million to help train the next generation of skilled workers. That money is available right now at microworks.org. It's waiting for anyone who wants to learn a skill that doesn't require a 4-year degree. Electricians, plumbers, linemen, welders, shipbuilders, HVAC techs. America is desperate for men and women with skills they don't teach in universities. And the MicroWorks Foundation is committed to helping train America's workforce for hundreds of thousands of AI-proof six-figure jobs just waiting to be filled. Apply today for a work ethic scholarship at microworks.org or support our efforts with a donation of any size. We're closing America's skills gap one job at a time, and we could use your help at microworks.org, MIKEROWE works.org.
Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to build million-dollar businesses without sacrificing their health, relationships, or happiness, who understand that in order to build their empire, they need a solid foundation, and that the more they are thriving, the more their business is thriving too. This show brings you the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbett, the scientist turned mindset and high-performance coach for entrepreneurs, and I help you get wired for success. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. Today's guest is Ken Lever, the founder and CEO of Reviv, a company that is quietly revolutionizing dental biomechanics. In less than a year, he bootstrapped Reviv to over $2 million in annual revenue while staying profitable. All that as the lone employee running a team of 20 plus freelancers with what he calls the Beast Method. We're going to unpack not just how he did it, but what it takes mentally, physically, and emotionally to scale without burning out so that you can take the best of his playbook into your own business and life. Welcome, Ken, and thank you so much for being on my show today.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. I'm excited.
Me too. Ken, to give the listeners some background and context, can you tell us how you ended up doing what you're doing today? What's your story?
So I ended up doing this dental bio completely not out of choice. I would say, like, I'm 48 and I lived a relatively normal adult life for my 20s and 30s, but I had neck and back issues and I was constantly going to the doctor or therapy to kind of get it released, and I would take powerful muscle relaxants, and I did that for like 15, 20 years. And then in 2013, I was in Ukraine, and the dentist said that I had TMJ, which is the joint right here. Mm-hmm. And I'd never heard of it, but he said, hey, well, let me send you to a specialist. And I went, and that guy made me a dental splint. And this dental splint got rid of everything in like a month or two. And I was just like blown away. I thought he was a magician because I'd been dealing with this for like 15 years. And I was great. And then I moved to Vietnam in 2014 because I was in Ukraine before that. And they had started having their first war. So I'm in Vietnam. I chewed through this splint that the first dentist gave me. And all of a sudden, like I asked for another one from another dentist. He gives me one and it stops. Like it doesn't work the same. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I don't feel the same. Can you please make it like this other one? And he said, okay, I'm a TMJ dentist. I'll fix your contact. So I'm sitting there playing with my phone and he starts drilling my teeth. He's like, yeah, I'll just drill. I'm like, whatever. And like, he drills my teeth quite a bit. And a month later, like I didn't function. I was 37 years old. I had brain fog so thick that if you told me something, whatever it was, like it was out of my head in 2 minutes. And like I lost, like I had ADHD, to the extreme. Like I would sit down and try to focus and I couldn't focus at all. So I basically started going to like a tailspin. Like I didn't know what was going on. Like everything was getting, and I turned into a hermit. So like I'd gone from this social person my whole life to this person that didn't want to go out of the house. My wife had to like drag me out and I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I started seeing dentists because I knew it was somehow related to this. And I wasn't getting better. So I stayed in that state for like 6 months. And that is my introduction to the power of teeth and how it impacts the health.
Wow.
And then basically, like, I iterated on it for about a decade. And that's a very long story, because basically my life went up and down for 10 years, right? And so when this happened in 2014, I immediately had to ask to be demoted 2 levels at my job. So basically, like 10, 15 years of my career just like wiped out. And I'm like entry level because my brain just didn't work. And I still like sucked at my job, basically, because like I couldn't retain anything. I thought my life was over. Right? Like when you're in that state for like a week or two, like that's one thing. When you're in that state for 6 months, like you think, oh, game over. So basically, for 10 years, I iterated. I started out going to dentists, and I figured out that they didn't really understand it. And then like I started figuring out the rules of myself by DIYing, and I figured out how it works in. I consider that I figured it out fully in 2021, second half of 2021. I've been coming back since then, health-wise, and I started this business in late 2024 after I'd already run a test group for about a year. And I'd also been using this stuff with my wife, my kid, and friends for like several years. So I kind of already understood it. But yeah, basically, like, the long and the short is how your teeth come together are, in my view, not only foundational to a human's health, like it is it is probably the cause of almost all disease, which sounds crazy. But
it does sound a little crazy.
It sounds crazy, and it's the cause. Like I have the big 3. You know, like Africa, they've got the big 6, which is like the giraffe one. Like people talk to me, and I'm like, I got the big 3, which is that I think these biomechanics that relate to teeth are the cause of almost all disease. They're the cause of aging, and I'm not sure humans have to die anymore.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, I'm gonna blow out Brian Johnson and all his gurus.
That's interesting.
And the third one is, I think it's the root cause of beauty. So I'm doing this process. I'm 48. I just eat lots of whatever I want. I usually like pig out at like 1 a.m. right before going to bed. And I do no exercise. And I plan to end looking like a model.
Oh, that's
really
cool.
Like, I keep telling people, like, yeah, it doesn't look like it just yet, but like you'll see.
Yeah,
that one will take a while.
I'm very curious to see that, and I want to come back to that later. But now maybe we should just take a step back and talk about what is dental biomechanics, because a lot of people listening to this podcast might never have heard about it or thought about it. So what is it, and why should people care?
Yeah, so I'll take a step back and just like a little bit of the theory is that, so the base theory is that the human skull and body actually collapse. You can think of it like physics. You can think of like there's these underlying physics to how our entire skeleton and skull work that we've never understood. And therefore, like, we've never truly understood the human body and stuff, right? So, and all human aging is the collapse. And this collapse triggers disease because basically the skull collapses inwards onto the brain and the spine twists. And I'm saying that I've basically like done this to myself and reversed out probably at least 4 to 5 times in 10 years, right? And I'm reversing out the last time now. But why it's dental. So you can damage your skeleton, your skull by any part of the body, but it'll change how your teeth come together, right? And there's the way your teeth, upper and lower teeth come together. If you ask a dentist, like they know what's called the curvus P. Like it's like it goes up like a Nike swoosh, the way where your upper and lower teeth meet. So it's not a straight line. It goes up like a Nike swoosh. That's called the curvus P. And so as you grind your teeth down in life, or you do orthodontics, or you may just not have developed correctly, from birth, which is what happens to most Americans these days. This curve is flatter than it should be, and it continues to flatten over life. And basically, like, flattening is just a reflection of what happens to your skull. Like your skull, flattening of this line is basically like the skull collapsing in and the spine twisting.
And why does it happen?
Is that something to do with the change in diet? Maybe we're just eating like soft food and stuff like that.
This goes back to the theory, which is that there's an underlying physics to how the body and the skull works, right? Like you can think of these physics like in the perfect human skull, there's a really nice curve of speed. The arches are fully expanded out. You have your wisdom teeth. Everything came in together, and there's minimal friction on the teeth, and like you have a perfect body, right? That is the way the body was designed in every human being, right? Like they've never found DNA for asymmetry or compensation and stuff. And so basically, I'm saying that these physics can be optimized with a mouth guard. And so everything else is tertiary, right? Like I consider these physics is the most important thing to human health. And I've tested eating healthy versus not eating healthy, doing exercise versus not. And I figured out that is almost irrelevant. Like it is when you're biomechanics. Yeah. So this is where it gets controversial. This is where it gets controversial. It's very relevant when you're in your normal human collapse process. So you got to understand that, like, if you're not wearing a mouth guard or you're not wearing anything on your teeth, you're naturally collapsing a little bit over life because you're grinding teeth and teeth are moving and teeth eventually fall out and stuff. Right. And so in a collapse process, for sure, like I lived very healthy my first, my 20s, my 30s. I was the guy that was always eating salad, go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I loved it, blah, blah, blah. Like I was that person. And I believe that. And it felt very like good and stuff. Like I completely get that. But I'm saying that like when you wear a mouth guard, like your health starts to improve and you have all this energy that you realize everything improves. Like I can eat good today or I can eat bad. Like I feel the same. I feel like a machine. Like I'm 48 and I just work 14 hours a day every day and I don't burn out and I'm happy the whole time. And that's crazy. But now I have like hundreds of people that are saying the same thing.
Yeah, that's really crazy. But what do you say? Who would benefit the most by using the Reviv device? And how long does it take for people to see those amazing results?
So I think like my prediction, and this is again, like I'm going to say things that are going to sound crazy to everyone. Like I think everyone in the world should be wearing a mouth guard to sleep because these basic physics, once you understand them, like it's going to, in 10 to 20 years, it's going to be like brushing your teeth to bed. Like it's just obvious, right? Your teeth get cleaner, the structure improves, like everything improves, your energy improves, all this, your immune system improves. And that's going to start to happen almost immediately. Right? Like I was reading this, we have this community of about 2,000 people. Over 1,900 people pay for me to track their journals. So like I'm tracking journals of a ton of people. And we have a paid community where people come in and they post and like they talk about their journey openly. And I don't like police that at all. So you can just read in that journal, like hundreds of people telling about how it's affecting them. Today, there's a woman that's like, she's like, she didn't really read much before she bought it. And it's like, I'm on my 3rd day and I got rid of back pain that I've been trying to get rid of for 15 years. And that's just standard. Like you're on our community and you read stuff like that every day.
Okay, I definitely have to check that out because I started that experiment myself because you were so kind to send me one of those devices and I've started to test that. So I'm on day 3 now. And what I've noticed in the beginning is, of course, it's unfamiliar. I had a mouth guard before, but it was one that just covered the lower teeth because I'm doing the teeth grinding at night as well. So I already had one. But this one is different. And the thing that I still notice is that when I wake up, like my upper front teeth, they hurt a little. But it usually goes away like in the first hour of the day. But that's pretty normal, right?
Yeah, that's very normal. So this remodels your mouth. Right. So like one thing that we're going to do and like, this is going to be 1/10 of what we do is we're going to eradicate orthodontics because it's absolutely stupid. Because what you're going to find by consistently wearing that mouth guard is that your arches are going to expand. Your teeth are all going to upright and untwist. Everything's going to be straight and you're going to have a perfect set of teeth given enough time. And the reason it hurts is because things are remodeling already. Right. So like, we have so many, we have a lot of before and after pictures of people 3-6 months, like they're achieving things that braces could never do, like braces, first of all, make a mess. Like they move the teeth.
Yeah.
So one rule I have is the teeth are always in alignment with the skull.
Mm-hmm.
So you never want to move teeth out of alignment with the skull because you're kind of assuming that the skull is stupid. Like people that wear retainers, like for me, it's like, it's crazy when dentists don't even get this, is that they think, okay, I put braces on, teeth are moving back, so I got to put these retainers. But like, they don't question, like, why are the teeth moving back? And the teeth are moving back because the teeth are trying to save your life, because your skull's going to be collapsing in. And there's some more technical reasons for why that collapses in. But basically what you should understand is the cusps of the teeth and how the jaw, like when you put your head down, your jaw typically rolls forward into protrusion. When you put your head up, it rolls back into retrusion. And these two different jaw positions need to be supported by the cusps of the teeth. And orthodontics have no clue about this, right? They make your teeth nice in one rest position. And so everybody that does braces and aligners and veneers, like they're basically like aging 2 to 5x the normal rate after that. And they don't, like, nobody says this.
I had braces.
And then like,
terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like we have hundreds of people that were damaged by orthodontics, and a lot of them are in their 20s and 30s and talking about brain fog and ADHD and all these crazy things. And then they're like coming out of it with a basic mouth guard.
And how long does this discomfort usually last before we get used to the device?
So one thing I like to say is everyone's got a different starting point. Everyone's got a different end point. End point is, like, for me, the end that everyone could get to is perfection, right? So end point is depending, like most people are not going to have the energy to take it that far because it takes a lot of work at some point to continue to progress. So a mouth guard starts to plateau at some point, right? And this is why, like, mouth guards have been around for 30, 40 years and they don't say the crazy things I'm saying. It's because part of what I figured out is when the mouth guard plateaus, how do you continue to improve quickly? And there's a set of stretches where I'm literally like, when I do my stretches, like I literally like the skin gets red, breaks here and here. My scalp often breaks, starts ripping. And you literally see how you're like inflating your skull like a balloon. Like you're just pumping it and it's going.
Okay.
And then like your jaw starts moving to the correct position. And I did all this many times in 10 years. And like, I just always screwed it up again because I didn't fully understand certain things. But that's kind of how it works.
Interesting. And what kind of improvements can people expect to see first? Is it different from person to person, or have you noticed certain things start sooner and others later, or what can people expect?
I would say some teeth move faster, right? So like what you experience is very common. People will say, oh, I feel like the front teeth are hurting. So the front teeth tend to adjust a little bit quite early on. But then, like the teeth may not move for a while and you're getting other stuff in your back or your leg. Like your foot arches start to come back with this process. So that part is like, I've never seen a pattern. And like my saying on this is that the body compensates in very complex ways. I'm never able to see patterns, and the way it fixes is therefore very complex, right? Your whole skeleton twists, your neck collapses, your skull collapses in, and I have no idea how you're going to resurrect. So that's very complex, but like the physics that you do to correct are, in my view, the exact same for everyone. Like a mouth guard works on every human being, and I would like put money against anyone on that. And we sold to 20,000 plus people.
Wow. That's so cool. And it certainly sounds like it has implications far beyond dentistry, which brings me to a related question. So in your experience, what is one invisible variable in, say, biomechanics, business, or human behavior that really creates those outsized results once you finally get it right? Because oftentimes it's those things we don't see, like the invisible stuff. That's really the big stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that I would say, I was a very hard worker my entire life and very driven, like very hard on myself. And at many points, like in my 20s, my 30s, like the results were just average. And now things are going very well, and I manage a lot of things, and I find it very relatively easily, right? Like I'm working a lot, but I just enjoy it. I don't find it very stressful. And part of it is what I call this invisible thing I call it neurology, right? And neurology is like the thing that keeps you happy and energized all day long. And so I've seen many times what it's like to have unhealthy neurology, which is where you have some depression, you kind of like relationships come harder, you don't read people as well. Like I've the way it manifested in myself, like when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, it's like I would kind of like not do well in office politics, and I wouldn't get the promotions that I wanted. Now neurology, like when you're getting better, like you just read it better, right? So I rarely just, I know that I'll like naturally end up getting along with people, and I get along like everyone that works with me, like they all enjoy it. I don't have to think about it. Like before, when I was not healthy, I'd have to think about what is this person thinking? How do I keep them happy? But neurologically healthy people, right? And like these are all the healthy entrepreneurs you see out there, like Alex Hormozy. They all have really good biomechanics, and they're not thinking about it. It just comes naturally because that's the way it should happen when your brain's functioning correctly, right? But like when my neurology was broken in 2014. Man, I had to like think so hard about every relationship and be so sensitive because I knew that I could very easily like, piss someone off or something.
Yeah, it's really about getting back into flow, right?
Yeah. And my point with that is there's no training. It's physical. And you like it's easy to fix this physical part. So that's my biggest learning. So I used to read so many books when I was in my 20s and 30s, and now like just realized like the human body was designed and the brain was designed to function extremely well when it's healthy. And that is why almost all these successful entrepreneurs that are worth like $1 billion, in their 20s and 30s, like the thing that you will find on consistent almost all of them, they've got a very healthy neck, skull, right? Like very, very few exceptions to that.
Interesting. Now, okay, so you're pulling on all these hidden levers. Let's talk about how you have done this in your business. Now, you have built a $1 million business with no employees, just freelancers. What do most founders get wrong about hiring and scaling a team?
So, yeah, we use a system. So I think it's important to provide a little context. We use a system where we use this software called ClickUp that I love, right? It's a project management system, and you have these tasks and you organize them into lists and folders. And so we organize according to a rule that I call everything is a task. So basically anything that anyone does in the company is a task in ClickUp. And if it's a task, you need to write out like, why are we doing this task? What is the goal of this task? And it has to be assigned to someone, and it has a status. And then our other rules, all work in the company is an update to a task. So if there's no update to a task, the assumption is by me and anyone, nothing was done. Okay. So we work in this way with remote freelancers who are all over the world. And I don't even care when they do stuff. They just got to keep their tasks updated. And I'm following most tasks automatically. So I get like in ClickUp, you have this inbox of notifications and they all just come in there. And so I'm like getting real-time feedback from everyone and kind of steering. I call it micro steering, like all day long, like I'm clearing out this inbox with all these 20 plus freelancers doing work, and I'm adjusting, and I'm only paying them for what they do, right? So I don't pay anything for latency, which is, I think, is one thing that a lot of like founders get wrong. Like I have a fractional CMO, he's solid. He started out, maybe he spent 10, 20% of his week with me. Now he's at maybe 40 or 50. My COO, CTO, like he's got a full-time job that doesn't know that he helps me, right? But he's working 20 or 30 hours a week with me and at a very good, reasonable rate. And I'm only paying for his productive work. And like what this does, what I realized from my corporate days, like I consider like the corporate world works like a rat race. Like there's a system where like your incentives are in conflict with other people because of the system. And so you may not get along with people, but it's not even because like that person's that bad. It's just like the system puts you in conflict. Now with my system, I never care what that person is doing. Are they doing other jobs on the side? Are they working this morning? Like these are things when I was like an entrepreneur working the old way. Like I used to think of all the time, like I'm paying this person a full-time salary. Like how come I'm not getting more? And then it affects our relationship. Now I have no expectations for anyone on my team. I'm just like, all right, like I know, okay, if my CMO is not getting enough done, he knows I can hire another guy with like through the system in a day and onboard him because it's so easy. So like if I don't, like he's not driven, he's not doing it all, I'm just gonna get another marketing person. That person's gonna pick up these other tasks. And so if he wants more, like he's gonna get more done, right? But like I never complain at him or anything. So there's a couple keys there that in my view is one's like I don't pay for latency. I don't have expectations of people, and I can onboard and outboard people almost frictionless, like within 24 hours.
Wow, that sounds pretty unconventional. And I know you have codified this into what you call the BEAST method. So can you break down this method, not just the mechanics, but also the underlying philosophy and what mental models drive it?
Yeah. So I would say, like the context on me is I was a strategy consultant for 7 years, worked in BCG with, a place like this with very smart people, was in the corporate world, was, one of the youngest executives in Visa Europe, so I played that corporate game and I was not bad at it, right? Mm-hmm. And I managed hundreds of people using that old way. So like, this isn't a person just say like, and like, if you wanted to take me back, like I would be kicking and screaming. Like, there's no way. Like the way I do things now blows that out by so many times. Like I get friends from my old corporate days. I'm like, I would never like work with you at all. Like I consider what you do completely inefficient because now we work in this way where like, okay, I pay much lower rates. And so the philosophy is, the things that I mentioned, which is that I want to be able to onboard anyone really quickly. They're just going to have a set of tasks that are going to be assigned to them. They're going to have all the context that they need inside those tasks. They know that I'm following and that I'm a very easy person to work with. So anytime they have a question, they can just comment on the task. Mm-hmm. So like, there's no such thing as getting stuck or any of this. And they can come and there's no politics because like the mental models, like I've seen how politics, how it destroyed many offices in the past, like two great people, but they hate each other. And so it affects how the whole office works. I don't want any of that. So part of our underlying sentiment is like, nobody's going to get to know anyone. We have no meetings.
Oh, wow.
So there's no meetings in the entire company. I have like almost no calls with people. Most people don't even know what the other person looks like. Everything is just a task. And they're allowed to tag in anybody in the company because they know who does certain functions. And that person is supposed to be clearing their inbox on ClickUp at least once, usually twice a day. So they can always expect a response, within like 12 hours, which just makes it like super easy to get anything done. You don't have to like work about building. I remember I joined this like big company. They'd be like, oh, you got to like develop a relationship with this person. And I used to think that was so stupid. I was like, what? Like, this is like about, it's more like a popularity contest. I used to work in this company Wayfair. It was like, I felt like a popularity contest, right? And my review was based on like 10 peers and what they thought of me. Now it's just like, simple, like you don't have to have any people skills. You just gotta like respond to tasks, and like contrary to what you think, like it works amazing. Like people love working like this.
Really? But it sounds like I would really miss connection because at my workplace I love just being around the people, and it's like the company culture, or I mean for me I'm at the university, so it's so nice to work with curious people who are like supporting each other, and it's really nice. I love collaborations.
Yeah, so I think there's value in what you're saying, and I worked in traditional companies and I've seen some of that manifest, right? But I think there's a couple things going on here. One is that part of the team works a full-time job and has a little bit of that in whatever their job. But like most people now, at least where I'm working in Southeast Asia, like most people are on these fully remote jobs. Because I come from the tech background, and like so almost everyone's working from home.
Right.
And like even if they weren't working with me, they would be working from home. Right. So like a lot of people don't work from the office anymore. So they're kind of like missing that connection already. Like it's not me that did that to them. And then the part about the coordination is, right, so part of how we don't do meetings is any major decision, you just create a ClickUp task and you tag in all the people and you put a due date on it, and so people have to write out their opinions, right, and then the decision gets taken by the due date by the person the task is assigned to. So we have a methodical way of taking decisions that is not about, like, I remember when I was working in certain companies, like, it's like certain people would always control the meeting because they were the loudest, or they were the most senior, right? Whereas here it's like very democratic, and you know, if people are like checking their notifications frequently, like you can have quite a bit of iteration between people. So yeah, like you lose a little bit of what you're saying, but like I feel like most people, at least in my world, like they don't work like that anymore. Anyway.
That's kind of sad when you think about it. Anyways, I wanted to come back to something that you said earlier, which is like you don't really exercise and you don't really care about what you eat and you still feel great. Now, for me, as someone who is working in exercise and nutrition physiology, I'd like to challenge you on this, because we see in the research that we do, like, you see what happens on a cellular level when you exercise, or what happens when you change the type of food that you eat. So even though you feel good now, you might be missing out on a whole lot of feeling really, really great if you just change that as well. I mean, I believe that biomechanics can play a huge role, as you said. But if you layered exercise and nutrition on top of that, I mean, how good could it be? What are your
This comes down to a bit of theory, right? Like, I agree with what you're saying, that this, you know, you studied on a cellular level, whatnot, right? But like one thing that I like to, like a metaphor I like to give is like, you know, like you look at like the lion in Africa, right? I went on a safari when I was like 19, 20 years old to Africa, in Kenya, to a game park. When you see pictures of these lions, and it's hot out, they're like sleeping under the tree, under the shade, right? And they're never like running around the hot sun to get a workout. Like, the only time they actually get up and run is like to chase down some food, and then they want to like go right back to being a lazy ass. And I honestly think that every single like animal was built that way. Like, we function really well without having to like do a lot of exercise or eat nutrition. And so part of what my answer to you is, right, like I have a wife who's 8 years younger, and she still does a lot of exercise, and she wears my mouth guard to sleep. But I know also all these stretches. So part of it's like I know all these stretches that make things faster. And I feel like I can work 14 hours a day almost nonstop every day, right? And I haven't been sick in 5 years, right? And like, there's not many people that I know 48 years old that can work 14 hours a day nonstop, not get burnt out, remain happy pretty much like 24/7, and not get sick in 5 years, right? Like, I can look at all my peers and like I'd be surprised if I could find one. So at some point, like if you benchmark, like functionally, I'm outperforming these people doing exercise that are at least my age, right? There might be some 20-year-old dude who's like can push it to like 15 hours sleep. I don't know, but like I don't feel like I need to optimize much further than I am.
Well, to push back a little on that as well, is sometimes, you know, how your body just powers through when you have a like high adrenaline and everything. But as soon as you take a break, that's when you get sick. So it would be interesting to see what happens when you really take a vacation, because that's often when the immune system crashes. If you're on high constantly, like,
that's where I think you're like, what I'm saying is never going to make sense until you're another 6 months into this journey and you do some of the other stuff, right? But because you're living in the current paradigm, right? And I almost call that like the matrix. And what I'm saying is that there's like this fundamental difference in how I view the world now. I think there's a different set of rules that actually control how the body works, right? And so like, to answer your question, right? Like, my answer would be like, I more or less functioned like this for 3 or 4 years straight, right? And I just took a vacation. I took my wife for 4 days to Krabi. We live in Thailand, right? And she wanted to take a nice break. And, you know, I hadn't taken a break pretty much almost all year since February or so. And I just work like nonstop. I work, 6 to 7 hours on Saturday and Sundays too, nonstop like this. And all I wanted to do with half the day was work these 4 days. I just I felt bored. Like, I don't need to like sit on the beach. Like, I just want to get shit done. So there's like no, but I enjoy it. Like, for me, it's like a game. It's like I watched this Power series on what are they called? Have you ever seen Power series? Like, it's got 50 Cent and stuff.
No. What is it?
It's on Paramount Plus. No, it's on Stars. It's on
Okay.
Stars. It's on a U.S. cable channel.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the Power series, and there's one that's called like, it's about like there's these young kids. It's got 50 Cent. It's kind of like about when 50 Cent was young in Jamaica, Queens. I grew up near Jamaica, Queens, so it kind of resonated a little bit. But anyway, it's all about the game. It's like, and you gotta love the game, and the game for them is like drug trading, like selling coke and stuff. But for me, like this is a game. Like now, I'm like, I just love the game.
Okay.
So it's not about like working, man. I'm just doing the stuff I love. For me, it's a game.
Okay, but if we zoom out from the operations and look at the bigger picture and the bigger why behind this. So if Reviv hits 10 million next year, what does that mean to you personally? Is it really just purely a business game, or is there a deeper mission tied to human health and performance or something else?
Yeah, I think there's a deeper mission for sure, right? Like I'm I almost consider myself a backpacker at heart. Like I don't have goals that are tied to money. For me, like the revenue that we earn, the fact that we're profitable is just like I feel like I often like to compare myself to the gladiator from the movie Gladiator. Like I was shit on, for, I took a lot of stuff. Like my 10 years were awful when I was going up and down, right? And I had to change and move my family 3 times, and it was just there were a lot of bad things. So and now like I'm coming back, and so my gladiator point is like I want to prove what Ken can do when he's healthy. So that's part of it. But the deeper meaning. So I believe, and this is going to sound crazy, that this is going to be the biggest thing in science, health, in the history of the world. Right. And I say that with a straight face, and like you'd have to know me to know that I'm not a guy that usually bullshits. Yeah. Right. Like I'm a guy who like calls bullshit on most people. Like I never say things that are right. So I'm basically saying that like there's some basic physics to how the human skull and body collapses, and that is basically like maybe humans don't have to die. Maybe we can prevent all disease at the root cause, and we can all be like perfectly beautiful, and we get rid of obesity and all this stuff. And I don't think I'm going to do it alone. Like all these people, I already see a lot of copycats and stuff. And like, there's going to be a ton of people that jump onto this bandwagon, and the snowball's just going to get bigger. But I want to be the one that like, you say, all right, I push that snowball over the edge. And I want to see that snowball. And I like, another thing I like to say is this will be bigger than AI in the coming decades, the impact on humanity.
This is crazy, but I love it. So I'm very open-minded. I can't wait to see this play out. I want to say, like, I interviewed Ken. He's gonna get the Nobel Prize.
I don't know if it'll be me. Like, that's part of it. It's like, I think a lot of people like I'm not a great content creator, so I have a feeling other people will blow up on this topic bigger than me in the coming years. But I think you're starting to now see hundreds of people that get it, that when I say this stuff, they don't think I'm a complete wacko. And like with the natural course of the business, it's going to be thousands. And then with the copycats, it's going to be tens of thousands, right? Like, so this snowball is it's going to roll. Like you're going to see.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm curious, so I can't wait. Can you share maybe some of the challenges that you experienced along the way and how you overcame them? Because I guess there had to be a few, right?
Yeah, there's challenges constantly, right? Like I'm living in constant fear. Like I'm American, so I know the love of the lawsuit, right? Like Americans love to like sue people. So if you think about what my business is, like we're in this gray turf, right? So I know that the U.S. health system doesn't understand the medical impact of a mouthguard.
Yeah, prevention is not big there, right? The U.S. is not big on prevention in general, right?
Yeah, for whatever reason, right? Like, but like the whole orthodontic orthodontics are even like covered by medical care, which I heard. Like when they figure out how awful orthodontics is, like people are just gonna laugh at like how stupid we were. But anyway, like you see Americans getting so unhealthy, and orthodontics and all this stuff that is really bad for the human skull are blowing up. And so, what was my main point? What was the question? Sorry, I didn't want to get off topic.
No, just the challenges in general. What were
Yeah. So my challenge is this: is that you're at like our biggest market is America. People love to sue. We're operating in a gray area where like mouth guards are generally like you can sell them over the counter for bruxism and things like this, right? And that's why I can point to hundreds of other mouth guards on Amazon and eBay, whatnot, that are more or less functionally just like ours, right? So my challenge is that, okay, like I can have people threaten the business because like they say that they have a bad experience, and like I don't know, like a court might support them. Court's not going to know. Like part of what protects me is that people don't know that mouth guards are so powerful on the human body. And but also you have like a lot of haters, right? So like I probably deal with like part of why I like have very thick skin now is like I deal with like 5 to 10 haters a day on comments. Really? Yeah, of course. Like we lit up the whole looks maxing community. And so they all jumped on me. Looks maxing is like this trend among Gen Z, Gen Alpha, where they all want their like mewing and their profile and their symmetry. And so like I never really targeted that space, but a lot of looks maxing influencers started using our product and figuring out that it works. So they like I get a lot of hate from that too, because others, like they say, oh, look, this guy, he doesn't look like a looks maxer, right? So I get like videos like that. So like there's a lot of then like customers who are not happy because it hurts, or so like there's I would say that's the biggest challenge. Otherwise, it's a pretty decent business to run.
And how do you deal with the haters and that stuff? Because I always feel that when you run a business and you have to deal with these kind of things, this inevitably changes you. I always say that entrepreneurship is kind of like the biggest self-development journey that you can be on. So have you noticed that your identity and maybe even your personality has changed over time as you have grown your company? And do you like who you have become?
So I don't know if it's this business or this biomechanical process, because the biomechanical process it pumps almost like adrenaline into your blood, and you feel slightly invincible, especially if you learn how to do it quickly the way I do. So I have a feeling it's more that, because like I've been told that I'm a bit nutty, for a few years now. So, but to defend yourself against the haters, you kind of have to lean into it. Like if you take it seriously and you just try to be professional, I think it would damage you, right? Like you would just kind of get depressed because like you might be helping hundreds of people every day, new people, but like a few of them send you some hate. But what I want them to know is I like living up to the fact that I'm a little bit nutty, I'm a little bit crazy, and I'm not very professional, like in how I interact one-on-one, how I speak on content. So I'm just gonna like light them up. Like if they put a shitty comment on, like I'm gonna light them up worse than they lit me up on public, and that's how I deal with it. And like I'll get dentists and orthodontists who like they'll like put some, this is awful for you. You can't wear a mouth guard. Like they forget that like my braces existed for 40 years and it's the same mouth guard basically that is used by hundreds of dentists. But anyway, they write these stupid comments. And so before I delete them, I copy paste. I create a short video making fun of them, and so I turn them all into like me making fun of them.
Okay,
that's my way of dealing with it.
You troll the trolls.
Yeah, no, and not everyone. Like some people, you just don't know. They kind of like lost.
Okay, let's end on a personal curiosity. Something that it just lights you up outside of business, outside of biomechanics. What rabbit hole are you currently most obsessed with exploring, and why? Or is there nothing beyond your work right now?
I think there's very little. Like I'm very happy with my family. I have an 11-year-old kid who I try to spend as much time as I can. This journey has taught me about like who my real friends are, right? Because my life really took a turn for the worse, and so a lot of people kind of exited my life, and I'm completely fine with that. So I don't have a strong need for friends, and I have friends when I want, but my circle is a lot smaller. So like I really view it as I want to keep my family was always there. So that's going to always be very important. I have a chip on my shoulder that I'm very proud of. I am the gladiator who is going to like tear down everyone that doubted me as I stroll like rampage right past them, right? And that's what drives me. And I want to prove myself right on all these biomechanical things. But like that's all. Like if I were to decide like what drives me in life right now, like it is that, and not much else. Like I don't really care about much else. I just like sit in this office and work all day.
Sounds like a little obsession to me.
Oh yeah, I am. But like, you'd have to like see the world through my eyes. Like I graduated. I finished high school near the top of my class. Went to an Ivy League. Finished Dean's List. Worked really good jobs. And when this stuff hit in 14, and I had asked to be demoted 2 levels, and I had like 25-year-old kids looking at me like I'm a dumbass because I couldn't retain anything. I remember that.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was like, man, I was the guy that was like, I had all these like fancy jobs and fancy blah, blah, blah. And now I'm like the guy who's like in Saigon, Vietnam with some 23-year-old kid who looks at me like I'm a dumbass. And I was 37. So that changes you, right? Like that. Yeah. So like that just drives me
I get it. So last but not least, where can our listeners find you online if they would like to learn more about you, your business, or just connect with you?
We have a Substack for Reviv. So that is like I write my thoughts out there. And I also have my Tech Beast, where I think it's on LinkedIn and it's also on Substack, but it's like my business. I write about this whole business method that I use. So that those are good places, and like I'm on the Reviv Substack chat if anyone ever wants to write to me.
Awesome. Ken, thank you so much for sharing your story, your interesting ideas, and your insights with us today. It's been really great talking with you.
Thank you, Claudia.
So keep up the great work. Take care, and I want to see you revolutionize the world. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please take a sec to rate and review my show or share it with a friend. That way you can support the show and help me reach and support other entrepreneurs like yourself as well. If you would like my help to figure out how you can go from overwhelmed and overworked hustler to empowered and confident leader, check out my website at www.wiredforsuccess.solutions and book a free 20-minute strategy session with me. Can't wait to help you get wired for success. Until next time, take care. Bye.